Excel provides a number of tools to help you find the answer to what-if type questions like Goal Seek, Scenario Manager, Solver. When using a spreadsheet, we regularly know the end result we require and have to work out the values to reach this result. The Goal Seek command will allow us to do this in a very easy manner. Goal Seek allows you to find the correct input to produce the desired output. It is simple to use but limited in power and flexibility. Let us consider this example. You wish to purchase a car. Your current vehicle is worth $4,000 in part exchange. This part exchange value plus your cash down payment of $1,000 makes up 20% of the deposit required towards the cost of a new car. This spreadsheet shows you that you can afford a new car costing $25,000. The only formula contained in the sheet is in the cell B3, that is B1 plus B2 whole times 5. Now, suppose you have seen a car costing $30,000. The question that automatically pops up is as to how much the cash down payment of your car needs to be. To achieve this result, you could enter various values in B1. Or you could use Goal Seek. To use Goal Seek, make the cell containing the value for the total car price that you can afford your active cell. In this case, make B3 your active cell by clicking on this cell. Select Tools from the menu bar and select Goal Seek. In the Goal Seek dialog box, enter 30,000 in the To Value text box. Press Tab to move to By changing cell field. Here, use the mouse to click on cell B1. Now, when we click OK, the contents of the cell will change to fit the desired result. The Goal Seek status dialog box is displayed. The value of your cash down payment has changed to $2,000 as you can view in cell B1. If you wish to accept these changes, click OK. If you click Cancel, these changes are not accepted. We have seen the text-based method to carry out a Goal Seek. However, there is another method of carrying out the same task using a chart. View this spreadsheet again. This time, let us say that you have seen a car costing $14,000. To use graphical goal seeking, select the data as shown. Click on the Chart Wizard icon on the standard toolbar. When the Chart Wizard dialog box is displayed, click on Finish to create a bar chart using the default format. A chart will be displayed as shown. Now click once on this column representing the total car price that you can afford. As you can see, a small rectangular box appears at the center of each column. Now click once again on this column. The display will change as shown. Now move the mouse pointer to the top of the column to drag and drop using the black rectangular handles. As you can see, the value that you have dragged to is displayed in a rectangular box. Since we require this value to be $14,000, drag and drop this column till this value appears in the box. When you release the mouse on the display of $14,000, the Goal Seek dialog box appears ready for you to enter a cell reference in this text box. Click on B1 to place the value in the text box. Click OK to display the Goal Seek status dialog box. You can view the change made in cell B1. Now click OK to accept these changes and to exit from the dialog box. The Scenario Manager is similar to Goal Seek. Unlike Goal Seek, however, Scenario Manager allows you to change multiple cells in order to see changes. One main advantage with scenarios is that they are kept for later reference and can be printed in summary form. The Scenario Manager allows you to create, manipulate, and save a number of different scenarios. These scenarios use different input variables which produce different results. Let us look at this spreadsheet example. It shows a sheet that is calculating yearly payments on specific items this year. Also, it shows expected percentage increase in these costs. Cell D2 contains the formula equals B2 multiplied by C2 percentage. Cell D3 contains the formula equals B3 multiplied by C3 percentage. Cell D4 contains the formula equals B4 multiplied by C4 percentage. Cell D5 contains the formula equals B5 multiplied by C5 percentage. Cell D6 contains the formula sum of D2 to D5. Cell B6 contains the formula sum of B2 to B5. You will definitely be interested in knowing how the figures are affected if we make a range of assumptions about how each item might increase. Here, we are going to create scenarios for the following situations once the above data and formulas have been created. Staff low 2.5%, staff low, energy high 2.5%, 35%. Select the changing cells, in this case the range C2 to C5. Click on Tools command from the menu bar and choose Scenarios. If no previous scenarios have been created, this dialog box will be displayed. Click on the Add button to open the Add Scenario dialog box. Enter a name for the scenario you are about to create in this text box. Let us enter Staff Low. Click OK. The Scenario Values dialog box will be displayed. The percentage rise in staff costs are located in cell C3. This is the cell that we need to change the contents of. So, enter the low value 2.5 in this text box. Click OK to return to the Scenario Manager dialog box. Now, we will add a second scenario wherein the staff cost increases are low and the energy costs increases are high. Click on the Add button to add this scenario. Enter the name for the next scenario here. Let us enter Staff Low, Energy High. Click on the OK button to exhibit this dialog box. Now, change the values of the cells required. In this case, let us enter 2.5 in this text box. Enter 35 in this text box. Click OK. You will be returned to the main Scenario Manager dialog box. As you can see, you have added one more scenario to your earlier staff scenario. Similarly, you can keep on adding different scenarios in the method mentioned above. Now, we have set up two scenarios. To see the effect of a scenario or to show a scenario, select the scenario from the main Scenario Manager dialog box. Let us select Staff Low, Energy High. Now, click the Show button. You will be able to view the changes in your spreadsheet. To be able to view an alternate scenario, select Staff Low from the main Scenario Manager dialog box. Click on the Show button again. You can view the data changes. Click on Close to exit from the Scenario Manager dialog box. The Solver is the most versatile what-if tool. Solver allows you to find the best solution to complex problems. These complex problems can revolve around the manipulation of multiple variables and constraints. Solver is harder to use, but it is very powerful and extremely flexible. The Solver terminology consists of target cell, changing cell, constraints, target cell is the cell that will be set to a value maximum or minimum. Often, this is the cell where you specify the maximum cost of a project. Changing cells are the cells that the solver tool will change the contents of to achieve the desired objective. Constraints contain the changes or condition defined for the calculation to take place. Let us consider this example. We have a budget to purchase as many new cars as possible for the new company car fleet. This fleet should be a mix of small, medium and large cars. However, there are a number of constraints as follows. Our total budget is limited to $500,000. We need at least 4 small cars. We need at least 3 medium-sized cars. We need at least 2 large cars. Now, if we are going to let the computer calculate a mix of different number of cars to meet our requirements in budget, the number of each type of car bought must be whole numbers, that is, integers. The formulas and functions used are as follows. In E4, we have used C4 times D4. In E5, we have used C5 times D5. In E6, we have used C6 times D6. In E8, we have used equals sum E4 to E7. Now, after defining the formulas and functions, click on the cell E8. Click on the Tools drop-down menu and select Solver. The Solver dialog box will be displayed as shown. Here, make sure the Set Target cell contains $E8. If you have selected this cell prior to starting the solver, the cell reference will automatically be displayed here. Click on the Value of Radio button and in the text box next to it, enter the maximum size of the budget that was set. In this case, it is $500,000. Next, we need to decide which values need to change in order to fit our requirements. In this case, these values are the numbers of each class of car that we can afford. Click in the By Changing Cells text box. Here, enter the information required as shown. Alternatively, you could also use the mouse to drag across the cells and the cell reference will be entered automatically. In this section, we need to tell Excel as to what constraints we have. So, click on the Add button to proceed, and the Add Constraint dialog box will be displayed. To specify that we have a budget limit of $500,000, enter $E8 in this text box. Then, click on the down arrow of this list box and select the equals symbol. In this text box, enter the number 500,000. We also have to specify that only whole cars can be purchased. Click on the Add button. In the cell reference text box, enter the cell range shown here. Or you could drag across the cells you require and the information will automatically be entered here. Click on the down arrow of this text box and choose INT. This selection will force Excel to use only integers or whole numbers in the selected range. The next constraint, as we know, is that we need to have a minimum of 4 small cars. Click on the Add button. In the cell reference text box, enter $D, $4. Select greater than or equal to from this list box. In the constraint text box, enter 4. For the restraint that we should have a minimum of at least 3 medium-sized cars, click on the Add button again. In the cell reference text box, enter the reference $D, $5. Select greater than or equal to from this list box. In the constraint text box, enter 3. Again, for the next restraint that we should have a minimum of at least 2 large cars, click on the Add button. In the cell reference text box, enter the reference $D, $6. Select greater than or equal to from this list box. In the constraint text box, enter 2. Once we have defined our constraints to Excel, we are now ready to solve the purchasing problem. Click OK. The Solver Parameters dialog box will be displayed as seen. Click on the Solve button. After a short time, this dialog box will be displayed. Click on the OK button to accept the solution. You will now see that the data in your worksheet has changed to display the solution that you require. To automate frequently used tasks, one should use macros. A macro is a series of instructions which make Excel 2000 perform commands or actions for you. Excel 2000 can repeat a task at any time using a macro. They are useful for competitive or repetitive tasks that you perform regularly. Macros do not necessarily involve programming, so you don't need to worry if you're not a programmer. Macros can be played back and modified at any time. To play a macro, you need to record it first. To record a macro, select Tools from the menu bar. Select Macros and from the ensuing submenu, select Record New Macro. The Record Macro dialog box is displayed. In the macro name text box, enter a name. The default description is available in the description text box. This description contains the date and username. If required, click in the description text box and enter a new description. To begin recording, select OK. Start performing the actions that you want the macro to record. These actions will be recorded in the defined macro. To stop recording, click the Stop Recording button present on the Stop Recording toolbar. Alternatively, choose Tools, Macro, Stop Recording command. To assign a macro to a shortcut key, select Tools again from the menu bar. Then select Macro. And from the submenu, select Macros. In the Macro dialog box, click on the macro name that you wish to assign a shortcut key to. Then select Options to display the Macros Options dialog box. Type a letter in the Control plus text box. This will be the key combination that will be used to invoke a macro. Select OK to return to the macro dialog box. Click on the Close icon present at the top right of the dialog box. You can run a macro using one of the following methods. From the Tools menu, select Macro and then Macros to display the macro dialog box. Click on the name of the macro in the macro name text box that you wish to run. Now select the Run button. To run a macro assigned to a shortcut key, press Ctrl plus the letter which you had assigned. You can create a button in a worksheet and assign a macro to it. For this, you require to display the Forms toolbar. To display this toolbar, right-click on any toolbar visible on your worksheet and select Forms from the pop-up menu. Select the button icon from the Forms toolbar. To create a button, click and drag on the worksheet. After releasing the mouse button, left-click once to display the Assign Macro dialog box. Click on the Record button, and the Record Macro dialog box will be displayed. Enter a name for the macro in the macro name text box. Click the OK button. Record your macro in the normal way. And click on the Stop Macro button when you have finished. To rename a button text, right-click on the button. Select Edit from the pop-up menu. To run the macro, simply click on the button. You can assign a macro to a button at any time. If the button already exists and you wish to assign a macro to it, right-click on the button to display a pop-up menu. Select Assign Macro. To display the Assign Macro dialog box, from the macro name list box, choose a macro or record a new one using the Record button. To assign the macro to the button, select OK. If there is already a macro assigned to the button, it will be changed. Right-click on the button to display a pop-up menu. The border of the button will now be visible. You can then use the borders to move the button. Click on the button's border and drag it to a new location. This procedure is for buttons that have macros assigned to them. But if your button does not have a macro assigned to it, you can simply click on the button and drag it to a new location. To change a button name, right-click on the button to display a pop-up menu. Select Edit Text. As you can see, the pop-up menu disappears and the cursor appears to enable you to rename the button. Type in the new name. Click on any cell in the worksheet to deselect the button and to apply the name changes. To format text inside a button, right-click on the button to display a pop-up menu. From the shortcut menu, choose Format Control to display the Format Control dialog box. Select the Font tab to format font and other formats for your text. To align the text inside the button, click on the Alignment tab. Here, you can also change the orientation of the button text. Select OK when you have finished.